Cantrips, the backbone of any arcane wielder's arsenal. From official sources, no unearthed arcana, sorry, there's currently 41 of these bad boys, and in a decision I'm definitely going to regret once I start doing future levels of spells, I'm going to rank all of them, from worst to best. Oh hey, this is future editing Pete, who's just noticed that I somehow have missed 4 cantrips off my list. Don't even know how that happened, but I've missed off Ray of Frost, Booming Blade, Toll the Dead, and Thunderclap. Ray of Frost would probably be in the B tier of cantrips, somewhere around 15 or 16. Booming Blade, I really like the sound of. I'd go a bit higher, maybe 10 or 11. Toll the Dead would be in probably the top 10, somewhere around there. Thunderclap is, where did I even put it? 19, that's where I'll put it. Arbitrarily saying that now. So yeah, sorry, there's actually 45 cantrips, not 41. But here's the rest of the video. This is Warcaster, and this is every D&D 5e cantrip ranked. Bear in mind, this is just my opinion, and a whole lot of this is very, very subjective. Stuff is probably a lot higher than it should be, because I think it sounds or looks cool. So to start off, in 41st place, what could possibly be so awfully bad that no other cantrips could even compare to how bad this one is? I mean, surely every spell in D&D can be useful in the right scenario. There can't possibly be one that... It's True Strike. True Strike is 41st. It's awful. It's concentration for 1 round and gives you advantage on your first roll next round. Which means that instead of rolling 2 dice on 2 turns, you're rolling 2 dice on 1 turn. Is this spell pointless? Pretty much. 40th is the slightly better Gust. You can push a creature 5 feet away from you, so that's cool. That's about it though, really. After that, in 39th is Mold Earth. Similarly to Gust, you can move a little bit of dirt or something, but that's about it. Writing some messages in the earth can be cool, but the right scenario for that is somewhat rare, and it fades after an hour, so it's not even permanent. 38th is Druidcraft. Don't at me, druids. Very cool for role-playing purposes, flowers are pretty. Not the most useful spell in the world though. Still better than True Strike. 37th is Infestation. A con save for 1d6 damage isn't fantastic, but the creature also moves 5 feet in a random direction. I like chaos, and this can lead to some mild chaos, so it's okay. After that, in 36th is Create Bonfire. It can save a little bit of time when you're setting up camp, but considering time is pretty flexible in D&D, it's more of a time waster to say you're casting it. Though it would be fun to kill an enemy with a bonfire. 35th sees Magic Stone. It's pretty fun roleplay wise and can definitely be described coolly in combat, but it's not the best offensive cantrip there is. Though, having another party member use your stones can be pretty fun, especially if they've had their weapon forced out of their hand or something. Encode Thoughts is 34th on this list, which is basically just the memory strand thing from Harry Potter. But the difference is, there isn't a receptacle for your memories, it's just a strand of your thoughts. Don't really know what to do with that, if I'm honest. It's just kinda there. If someone's got Detect Thoughts, they can read them, but they could just read the memories anyway if they cast Detect Thoughts on the creature that the memories came from. Seems a bit weird, but there's definitely scope for DMs to create their own versions of Pensieves and stuff. We're moving out of the D tier of spells now, moving up to more of the C tier stuff. We've got number 33, Resistance. Resistance is cool, gives one creature a d4 on saves. The only problem with that is you don't necessarily know when you'll be doing saving throws, unlike something like Guidance, which gives you a d4 on checks. You can control when checks happen, not saves. It's still useful though, if you don't mind using concentration on it and not on something that's more useful. Number 32 is Friends. So no one told your life was going to be this way. Clap, 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 clap. Friends is a proper double-edged sword if it's used incorrectly. And I've seen it used incorrectly. Because after a minute, the creature knows you cast it and becomes hostile. So it's only really good for creatures you were going to kill anyway. Like a guard you can convince to let you inside a gated area before you kill him anyway. Would not recommend on shopkeepers. Just saying. 31. Mending. Mending for me is the prototypical cantrip. It can mend little cracks and scrapes on things. It's not very powerful, but can be quite useful in certain scenarios. It's a perfect demonstration of what I think a cantrip's power should be. Number 30 is the you learn how to pronounce this cantrip, prestidigitation. 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 It's fairly harmless, but really good role-playing fun, and role-playing is good. That's a hot take right there. Vicious Mockery is in at 29. Giving something disadvantage is pretty neat, and it allows for some pretty good one-liners from PCs, which I'm all about. Number 28, Shape Water. Redirecting little bits of the flow of water or freezing little stepping stones of ice like your Elsa. I think that's cool. Oh wow, that was a pun, I didn't even mean to. Instead of producing ice, it's produce flame at 27. Holding fire in your hands is cool, okay? It's a stereotypical wizard thing when you're in darkness. Just hold some fire in your hands. It's just cool, alright? I don't make the rules. And once you've produced them, you'll need a way to control them. It's control flames. Control flames is 26. Being able to put out small fires or expand them is pretty cool. It can be used in social scenarios for intimidation purposes, or to douse your campfire if you're threatened about being seen. It's neat. Dancing Lights takes the 25th spot, and I think it's pretty useful to be able to see in darkness when you don't have dark vision, and it's pretty flexible as to where you can place them. You can spread them out and stuff. 24th is a weird one. Green Flame Blade, which sounds like you'll conjure up some epic green flame sword of awesomeness, and it's not that. Instead, when you hit with a sword, you can have a little bit of fire jump over to someone else within 5 feet and do some fire damage. I think this can be roleplayed pretty well though, and at higher levels it does do fire damage on the initial attack, so that's good. God, we're not even halfway there yet. Save me. Moving into more of the B tier spells now, Poison Spray is in at 23. 1d12 damage from a cantrip is pretty gosh darn good, and it's poison damage which isn't as often resisted as some other types. Number 22 sees Thorn Whip. It's thorny and it's whippy. Does a little piercing, does a little moving. It's cool, helps control the battlefield, which is always a plus. The 21st best cantrip is Shillelagh. The stats don't seem too incredible when you first look at it, though it is pretty cool. But the thing that makes this really good is it's a rare bonus action cantrip, leaving you to cast a leveled spell as an action or use the weapon you just shillelagh'd, and it doesn't require concentration. Next up at 20th is the most recent addition to the cantrip world, that being Explorer's Guide to Wildmount's Sapping Sting. It's another battlefield control spell because on a failed save you do a little damage and make them fall prone. People love their advantage, and you just gave it to everyone until that creature's next turn if they're doing melee stuff. Moving into the teens, 19 is Frostbite. This is Vicious Mockery, but better because it does a d6 instead of a d4. Number 18 is Lightning Lure. This is mainly because it sounds pretty cool, and I think it would look pretty cool in combat too, because you get to do lightning damage and pull the creature 10 feet next to you, which is pretty great. Honestly, it's not that good. I just like the sound of someone lassoing something with a bolt of lightning. 17. Acid Splash. You can do damage like loads of other cantrips, but you can target 2 things within 5 feet of each other, and that's cool, especially at lower levels. Primal Savagery is at 16 because it just sounds really, really cool. You get to grow your teeth or your nails so they become claws and do acid damage, and I think it'd be pretty neat in social encounters when you're trying to intimidate someone. It's just cool, alright? Blade Ward is at 15, which is way higher than I know some people would put it, but this is because I think it can actually be useful. Giving resistance to an incoming bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing attack might not seem great, but if you have a turn waiting for an enemy to reappear, or you're retreating to cover to heal up for a turn or whatever, I think it can be really handy. So yeah, Blade Ward. Don't be mean to it. Number 14 is Spare the Dying, which again is probably higher than some people would rank it, but it's a cantrip that can stop your friend from dying. If you're out of healing potions, or your cleric with the healing spells is the one that's unconscious, it's a nice safety net to stop party members dying. Still gonna need some healing to get them conscious again, but stops the immediate threat of death. Unlucky number 13 is Light, because it's Dancing Lights, but better, because it lights up so bright. And with the amount of stuff that has light sensitivity and being able to light up big rooms with the cantrip, it's a big deal. Light is good. We're getting close to the top now, we're more in like the A tier of spells at this point, starting with Word of Radiance at number 12. This is again just one of those I really like the thought of, because if you're surrounded and you get to do damage to all of them around you, allowing for your escape, it's pretty cool, it's a fun looking one. Sacred Flame is at 11, it's damage off a save, like most damaging cantrips, but it's radiant damage, which barely anything has resistance to. And if it does, you probably shouldn't be fighting it. Into the top 10! Shocking Grasp. You hit something with some lightning and it can't take reactions, which is amazing for escaping and avoiding those opportunity attacks. Number 9, Thaumaturgy. It's a spell that has literally made my party I'm DMing avoid 2 or 3 encounters on its own by making distractions and a little bit of chaos. It's very, very good at that. Here's another one of those why the hell is this so high spells. It's Sword Burst at number 8, because just like Word of Radiance, if you get surrounded and then swing your sword around in a circle and cut them up to bits around you, I think that's pretty awesome. I just like it. Number 7 is Fire Bolt, old reliable for most arcane influences. You do a spell attack and it does damage. I prefer a spell attack over a saving throw because it's a bit more consistent as it's based off your attack roll rather than the opponent's save, which could be pretty big. Chill Touch comes in at 6, which is incredibly underrated at higher levels of play. PC's going down? Not to worry, we can heal them. Unless they've been downed by a Chill Touch, because then you can't apply any healing to them. That's awesome! Also another scenario in which Spare the Dying could be useful. The top 5 realistically could go in any order, but this is what I've arbitrarily picked for this list. Number 5, Mage Hand. It's the ultimate lockpicking and chest opening device to avoid traps. It can hold up to 10 pounds and move 30 feet away from you. It's really, really, really useful. Number 4, Message. Being able to communicate with someone and you can only hear each other, top stuff. Not even needing to see each other up to a distance of 120 feet, amazing for scouting and for espionage. Number 3, Eldritch Blast. The best damn damaging cantrip there is, and I won't hear anything against it. 1d10 force damage, which is barely resisted, that scales with level to produce more beams, and you get to say Eldritch Blast every time you do it. Can't beat it. Number 2, Minor Illusion. Speaking of spells that have prevented entire combat encounters, being able to create an image or a sound is incredible and can be used to completely turn the tide of a battle before it starts, or avoid it completely. Its limits are basically people's imagination, and that is pretty big. And finally, the best cantrip, in my opinion, don't forget, is Guidance. I may get some flack for this, but literally any check you want to do that you can do in 6 seconds or under, add a d4 to it. Climbing, picking locks, searching for stuff, investigating, you name it. This just makes you or your allies better at the stuff they want to do, which makes them feel good. And that makes me feel good as a DM. I love Guidance, it's amazing, and I won't hear a word against it. Now tell me how wrong I am in the comments. So that was every cantrip ranked. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, enable notifications, and leave a comment and all that good stuff. Check out the other videos on screen now, and I'll see you in another video soon. This was Warcaster.